Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2. It's time to glaze some paint. And when I say lay some paint, we got some serious painting to do. We are upping our game from the rattle can and painting with air today. We're using products from Auto Paint HQ. Really impressed with their packaging and all of the really detailed instructions. The first thing we need to do is lay our primer. So let's take a look at the instructions. So in part 1 of the series, we completed our surface preparation. We washed, degreased, and we sealed up all the holes and threads and all that. So we're good to go. So we're getting to mixing. So mixing, we're gonna do 4 parts of the primer sealer and then 1 part of the activator. So here is the activator, small little bottle. So we're gonna do 1 part of this, and then we're gonna use 4 parts of the sealer. I've got a quart. It's gonna make a little bit more of that, of course, but I'm hoping, I'm not sure, if a quart will do a whole motorcycle. Pretty sure it will. Before I get to mixing, I want to read ahead on the instructions here, okay? So I'm going to be running 30 PSI out of my gun, and I'll be using a 1.4 to a 1.5. I'm going to use a 1.5 millimeter tip because that's the one I've got. It's saying apply 1 to 2 uniform medium wet coats at a distance of 8 to 12 inches, and we are going to allow a flash time of 10 to 15 minutes. Ideally, you'd want the temperature to be between 70 and 80 degrees. Right now, I'm like right at 67, 68 degrees. So I'm gonna do the longer resting time. I'll be doing 15-minute breaks. Now, once we're done with our 2 coats of primer, we're gonna wait 30 minutes before we put the top coat on. Interestingly, this says no sanding is necessary unless it dries for over an hour. So I'm gonna shoot for getting the base coat on within 30, 40 minutes of what's going on there. So that's really about it. I think we're good to go. It's just time to mix up some paint, charge up the air compressor, and get this party started. All right, let's crack the door just a little bit. That's enough. And let's get our fan going. So if you recall in the directions, it said to have this shooting at 30. So basically, when you're pulling the trigger on this, what you want to do is you want to adjust your flow. So right there, I'm way too high. I want about 30. And that's going to be about 30 right there. I'm looking at the red PSI numbers right there. So maybe a little bit lower, right in there. Dial in your pressure. All I'm doing is turning this little knob on the side and making sure I got 30 PSI coming out of here. Additionally, I changed the tip and the pin that goes all the way through here to a 1.5. The whole thing screws apart. I can show you that when we're actually cleaning things up. So that's the first adjustment you're gonna make on your gun. Up here, you have one that this is gonna actually let your paint in, so you're just gonna open this up. All right, I don't have paint on there yet, so I'm gonna keep that closed. And then additionally, this one on the back side, this actually adjusts the width of the fan, like how wide of a shot are you actually shooting here? So this is something we'll adjust once we get the paint mixed up. So as far as a delivery system for the paint, I'm actually using disposable cups, and you actually do your measurements from this kind of master cup. It makes for a nice clean process. If you look on the side of it, I'm looking for a 4:1 ratio. So these are my measurement lines. I'm probably gonna do a 5 on this first run. I have no idea how much paint I'm actually gonna need for this job, so I'm gonna load her up and see how far 5 is gonna get me. But what you do is you take this little cup, this is disposable, you drop that in, and then you do your measurements from here. So I'll fill it up, and then I'll do 1 part of the activator. So I'll fill up my paint to here, and then I'll fill up my activator to here. So the whole thing together will land right about there. From there, you just take the top You put you put this on, you tie this on, and then once you get it on, and then what you do, and this is kind of the trickiest part, is then you take your bottle and you're gonna actually put this onto the gun like this, all right? So then you'll have your paint dropping down. Gravity will take the paint into the gun. Does that make sense? That's about as good as I can explain. Just make sure you watch your measurements because there are a bunch of them on the side. When I did my Jeep, I messed this up more than once. So we're gonna be focusing on the 4-to-1. All right, first thing, let's crack our primer. Let's open this up. Now we're ready to put in some paint. We're on the 4-1-1. I've got some of my paint here. And now we're just gonna carefully add. Try not to splash on the edges if you can avoid it. And for now, let's see if we can get her up to 5. It is at 5. And at this point, I am sure that there are a few of you yelling and screaming at me because I didn't use a filter, all right, when I put that paint in there. Honestly, I totally forgot, but I don't feel terrible about that. I think I got away with it with the paint system I'm using because there is actually a screen filter in the caps of that kit that I'm using, of those little bottles, the disposable bottles. So hopefully you all forgive me, but if you're not using a system like this, be sure to use the filters, the funnels, the little funnels with the little filter on it. I'm sure they have a name. Now we're gonna grab our activator and we're gonna move that up to this second 5. Just like that. All right, now we're gonna grab a paint stick and we are going to mix up our first coat of primer. I'm gonna mix this really, really well. All right, with that mixed up, nice and good, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my top, put my top on, put my ring on. Gotta make sure you get this on there nice and tight and make sure it doesn't go crooked. Had that problem quite a bit. There we go. So that's on there nice and tight. And then what we're gonna do is grab our gun, and what I found to be kind of easiest is to take the gun from the top and then push it down onto the box, or onto the little thing here. And there's little tabs that are gonna catch on it. It's like a little sweet spot. I broke my lid, hold on. All right, so I got that lid figured out, got a new one on there. Now this should just go on, there we go. Goes on there just like that. Now if I could bring it back just a little bit, all we gotta do is flip the gun over, and on this, we're gonna open up our paint. Now is when I'm gonna test my fan. Hold on one second. All right, so I'm gonna watch my gauge, and I'm low. I'm gonna plug my compressor in, hold on. So now I'm gonna hold it about 12 inches away, and you can see I've got a really big fan, right? So I'm gonna close this, I believe I close it, and see how that fan is getting smaller? I can go even smaller on this motorcycle. Let's see how small I can go here. Not enough. There, that's gonna be just about right for that, and then we're gonna double check. Looks like I need a little bit more pressure. And now I'm at 30, and I've got a nice fan. Let's paint. All right, I've got my respirator on. And we're gonna put this medium coat of primer. It's a little bit of an overlap. This stuff pours out so nice. You gotta work kind of quick, but be diligent.
In a weird way, it was easier to paint the Jeep. Because there was just big panels.
There are just a lot of parts, a lot of weird angles, really small parts. Trying to get that gun into some of these areas can be really tight. You got to be diligent.
All right, start hitting the tank. Hopefully we got enough paint.
I'm telling you, the next time I paint a tank, I have to remember this. I need to keep the tank stationary. It was driving me crazy. It's spinning around and stuff. It's super convenient until you hit it with a blast of air and paint. And then that thing starts to spin around. Makes it really hard. I just need to remember, let's get this tank stationary so it's not spinning around. The tank is important, man. You don't want to screw that up. And one of the other things I really need to keep in mind is keep the gun perpendicular. You know, it's a gravity-fed paint gun. And when you tilt the gun to the side, it messes things up. So I really had to work on that during this process. Is just let's keep the gun straight up and down so you've got even flow coming out of it. Practice, practice, practice.
So kind of as I suspected, this is going to go really fast. That amount of paint that I put in that can did the first medium coat of primer. And I'm already at my flash time though, right? So I got a quick mix, another batch. I'm gonna make another batch of 5, and then, or 5 to 1, or 4 to 1. And then, yeah, just keep working at it. That's the plan anyway.
Really, just when you got done doing all the parts, you literally had to start right away. There was no stopping. Once the paint was flying, it was game on. It got pretty serious.
All right. Man, it is really tough to make videos while you're doing this. Ended up doing about 3. I had a massive spill. Wish I had that caught on camera. But everything's looking really good. I've got full coverage all the way around. I am going to be mixing up the black next. It's really tough. I'll have to do a little, I'm out of breath. I've been running. But these are looking real good. Tank looks really good too. I'm on to mixing black paint. Woo, man, once you start pouring paint, man, it's on, dude. It is on. For the jet black, this is a 1 to 1. And we're going to do 3 to 4 medium wet coats with a 1.3 millimeter tip at 30 psi. And we're going to allow 20 minutes for the flash. And yeah, we're just going to have to go again. I got to catch my breath. Woo.
I'm trying to get better about holding that gun straight up and down. And also trying to be kind of slow and steady with the paint run across the part, right? There's a lot of nooks and crannies on these bikes, especially the frame. So you got to pay really close attention to what's going on here. The tank, of course, super important. I'm actually a little bit butt puckered at this point because I don't want to screw up the color on this tank. But as you can see, it was going on really smooth, but again, I'm dealing with that spinny again, right? So having your tank stationary is going to be very, very helpful to you. I managed. It all worked out just fine, but would have made my life a heck of a lot easier if I would have just had that, you know, stationary and sitting still. And the parts just never seem to stop. There's so many parts. So after 3 coats of the color, it was on to the clear coat.
So this next step, it's 4 to 1 with the clear coat and the hardener activator. 2 to 3 wet coats. 2 to 3 wet coats. 15 minutes in between. So this is going to be another run and gun, man. Start at the front, work your way through. 15 minutes are going to pass, going to hit it again. And just go, 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 go.
All right, well, the marathon is over. Now we're gonna let her sit for the night. The frame looks good. Looks absolutely beautiful, actually. Loving that. The clear coat comes out really fast. You gotta be careful of the runs. Learned a little lesson. I'm gonna have a couple things I'm gonna need to fix up. But I think I got 90% of it right. I'll deal with the cloud silver tomorrow. For the fenders, I'll really be able to tell tomorrow when I can get it in the light. How's the tank? Tank's got some shine to it. Got a little drip, but I'm not too worried about it because it'll be covered up by the cover, actually the chrome cover. So I feel all right about that. We will see, man. Time to get some sleep. We'll inspect things tomorrow. I know I got a drip on one of my fork covers. That was pretty bad, but all fixable. You can paint a bike with a quart. Quart set will do it. I got just a little bit left if I need to do the touch-ups. So I'm feeling pretty good, man. But that was a marathon. This is going to be a hell of a video to edit. I will tell you that much. We'll check it out in the morning after we let this stuff just kind of rest. But early indications, I think it's successful. We shall see. Well, it's the next day, and I would say, overall, a pretty smashing success with painting up all the parts for the 66 CB160. Let's take a little closer look at some of these parts. Now, of course, I couldn't resist mocking up the tank just a little bit. Put that side cover on it just to kind of get the vibe a little bit. A lot of polishing left to do there. And I got lots of fingerprints and a lot of cleanup to do. I'll probably do some wet sanding on some of the, more visible parts for sure on the clear coat. Nothing crazy, probably like a 2000 wet pad. But overall, I only saw a couple drips that'll need to be addressed. Not too bad, actually. Learned a lot of lessons on this one, for sure. And we'll chat a little bit about some of those. That was a full 8-hour day in the shop. No joke. Yeah, took time, took patience. But once the paint started flowing, there was no stopping. By the time you get done running, running through a bunch of parts, you just had to start all over again because that flash time of like 15 minutes, it was about 20 minutes to get through all the parts. But yeah, this is a major corner being turned on the 66 CB160. So there you go. I've graduated from rattle cans to painting with proper paint. Feels pretty good. I know I didn't go too deep in some of the tutorial kind of things. The one channel that really helped me out on YouTube was Paint Society. I'll leave a link in the description. The tips and tricks and just some really good videos there. So check that out for more detailed information. For now, I'm calling this video done. Thanks so much for watching. If it helped you out, be sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. It really does help the channel. And also don't forget to head on over to keeponwrenching.com and get yourself a free sticker. We'll see you in the next video or live stream.